Welcome to our Fireside chat with Convergence founders Dan Moceri and Greg Lernihan. My name is Ken Lociato. I'm currently the Chief Executive Officer of Convergent. I've been fortunate to be with Convergent now for almost 7 years, and incredibly fortunate to be able to work with Dan and Greg as we've continued to take their dream and build on it and expand it now around the world. And Dan, what I am always fortunate to be able to share with, and I tell the story of Convergent today, is how fortunate I am to have the continuity of leadership with Dan and Greg. Dan is our executive chairman, is very involved in the running of the business from an acquisition strategy standpoint, and Greg continues on as one of our board members and is very involved. And today we'll talk a lot about the culture and having our two founders and the team that was around them that, when they first began Convergent, helps keep us grounded and keep us focused on our colleagues, focused on our customers, and what Convergent was all about and our values and beliefs. And it'll be very exciting to hear from them today. So Dan and Greg, welcome. Thank you for being here today. And let's get right at this. And Greg, let me ask you this. What's the why of Convergent? Why does Convergent exist, and what are we all about?
The why Convergent exists to serve our customers, serve our colleagues, serve our communities, areas we live and work in. Our servant-minded leadership that we have in our company is all about serving others. And supported by our values and beliefs, we empower our colleagues to make decisions, whether that is anything locally, to meet our customers best, be our customers' best service provider. And over the last 20 years, we built a service culture that's all about listening and adapting to our customers. And we've done that on a global basis, which is very difficult to replicate. And currently we manage and service physical devices like cameras or card readers or life safety devices. But for a company whose why is we exist to serve, we're seeing the next frontier now is being able to leverage this service platform and assisting our customers as they start to connect the physical with the digital world.
It always comes back to service, as you've highlighted, and whether to the customers we work with, our colleagues, but ultimately, if one thing defines Convergent, it's our values and beliefs. And Dan, where'd you come up with the values and beliefs? What was the inspiration for it, and how did they come to be so important to us as an organization and as a group of people?
I think you'll hear a lot of commonality in our answers today because it is all based around service. But back in the early 2001, we knew we wanted to be a service-based integrator, and we would not be manufacturing any products, right? So therefore, our model was to differentiate our company based on the quality of the colleagues. So we knew we had to attract and we had to retain some of the best colleagues in the industry. In order to do that, we would have to create a very special culture, right? So we initially wrote what we call 10 non-negotiables. So this is, those things that were important, the things that we valued and we believed in a service-focused company. And actually, here's the first printed copy. You probably can't read it, but that's okay. It's the first printed copy of what we call the non-negotiables at the time. The handwritten copy, unfortunately, is not with us anymore. But so we looked at the best cultural aspects of large organizations. We looked at the best of the small independent integrators. And then what we did was we left behind the politics, the bureaucracy, and all sorts of baggage. And then we morphed those 10 non-negotiables into what we now know as the values and beliefs. And they have guided us. They've guided the growth of Convergent, and they've guided our culture really over this past 19 plus years.
It really is incredible when we talk about our why, our culture, and the V's and B's. And, we talk about our culture because it is everything that Convergent is, right? And how did it, what's that mean then, Greg, for a customer? What does it mean for culture, and why is that to them? Why should it be so important? Ultimately, they want a partner and someone that's going to do a great job for them, but that is culture the reason that we're as successful as we are, and how do we message that to our customers and our frontline colleagues as to the importance of it?
Well, it's an excellent question, Ken, and let me start from the colleague's perspective. And that they know, as part of our culture, is that we're a caring organization and that we care about them, you as colleagues, but we also care about their families. It's not something that we can fake. And because we all share the same values and beliefs, you can trust working with any colleague now throughout the world that they're going to have the same focus and obsession on our customers. It's knowing that you're empowered as a colleague to make decisions in the best interest of our company and customers, and that we're going to support you. And it means that the leadership of our company, you can count on the leadership. You know what they stand for and the way they're going to lead going forward. You can feel comfortable in that. If you look at our partners, Ken, I would say it starts with, from the first day, we valued them as equals. We know that we needed them, as Dan brought up. We needed product. We weren't manufacturing anything. It was important that we had a good relationship. And it means that they have the confidence to know that Convergent's going to install their product or solution professionally in the right way, because they're going to be trained and they're going to be certified by the companies we partner with. It's also about having a long-lasting partnership. This isn't a short-term deal for us. We pick partners, and most of them, or a large percentage of them, have been with us for 20 years. There's trust. And then the last thing is including them in conferences like this virtual conference, in our annual conference that we do in March of every year, so that they're part of our team. And lastly, if you look at it from our customer's perspective, it's all about knowing that you're selecting a world-class organization that is driven to being your best service provider, period. It's also about open and honest communication, even if it's difficult conversation or something that this, in some cases, bad news. It's also, our culture is about you feeling confident that you can go anywhere in the world and get the same excellent service that you are in the specific area you're at now. And I think in the end, Ken, it's for our customers, it's when we form a real partnership, when we're sitting at the table with you and we're debating the issues you're having and solving them together. It's incredibly powerful.
Greg, it really is. I'm holding values and beliefs card, these 5 I's, 5 we's, and Dan, all of the words we talk about here, whether the culture, V's and B, they all come back to service, right? And we've heard that, a lot of times already in a short amount of time. Ultimately, what's service mean to you?
From my perspective, service is really central to everything that we do. If you look at that, you've got the card in your hand. If you look at the V and B, the one that says we expect to be our customer's best service provider, and whether it's for our customers or whether it's for our colleagues, and importantly our communities, it really illustrates this point about service. Service is our culture, or maybe I should say our culture is service, right? To me, service means being responsive. It means solving problems. It means adding value. At the end of the day, it means supporting our customers, our colleagues, and the communities, right? And so we differentiate ourselves in the market really by being responsive to the needs of our customers, really better than anyone else that's out there. We support them in achieving their goals and mission. That's the bottom line to it, right? And likewise, with our colleagues, we support them so that they can grow in their career, they can provide for their families, they can educate their children. Service is about making a difference in our colleagues' lives. And then the last one that Greg brought up too is service to our communities. And let's face it, right? Today, more than ever, people in our communities, they need support. And I'm proud of the fact that Convergence supports our local communities in a variety of ways throughout the globe. And I encourage all of our Convergent colleagues who are in a position to be able to do so, even in a small way, really go out of your way to support your neighbors.
No, it's absolutely not now more than ever. It's for sure, certain. And we hear, it's interesting. We hear a lot now about purpose-driven organizations and how important they are from a success standpoint. We see how organizations that are purpose-driven tend to outperform, certainly are able to recruit great talent, and the younger generations are just deliberately looking to join organizations like that. Greg, when you look back, and I'm guessing it was, I don't know exactly when you left the prior company you were with, but it had to be right around now, 20 years ago. And you both had great jobs, and here you are, you're going to go off and start a company, and you didn't know what was in front of you, but you put an incredible plan together, and obviously we see where we've been able to succeed to. There's so many great things this company's achieved. Does anything stick out for you? It's always hard when you say, what are you most proud of? So I won't ask it that way per se, but when you reflect back, what are the things that you look at and say, wow?
Well, Ken, it was almost to the day 20 years ago. I walked out the building with the company I worked for at Thanksgiving. And so at this point in time, having a trusted friend and confidant in Dan, somebody that I respected, it was easy to leave and excited about what the future held. But I'll start with the answer to this question. And I read it years ago from his CEO describing his company. And he said, we have no stars. We have no stars. We just have a lot of bright lights. And I think that describes Convergint very well to me. And when Dan and I left, we were committed to building a decentralized company that was empowered and had a fun culture. And we knew that in that case that we could scale it quicker and the roots were deeper. But it also meant that we had to have incredibly high quality colleagues and leadership for it to work. And if you ask me, as I look back in the past 20 years, I don't think I would use the word proud the way you at the end said as well. I'd use the word humble. I'd say that Dan and I are humbled by the success we've had at Convergint. And that's directly because of the power of our values and beliefs, the incredible work ethic and commitment of our colleagues, and the awesome leadership team that we've assembled, and their servant leadership attitude, where very early on, Dan and I said, we're all equals. No one's any better than anyone else. We all just have different jobs. And the combination of those three things has enabled our company to do what very few companies have been able to do, and that's scale a culture globally, despite language barriers, despite customs, despite local issues. And that's humbling to me.
Convergence is a special place, and we love to talk about it, love to share the success of our colleagues, but even as we recruit people and customers, it's it's interesting. They hear the story, but until you're part of it, at times it's really difficult to fully comprehend the power of it, and exactly to your point, that trying not to have an ego in this organization, trying to make sure people are as collaborative as they are, and we are usually successful when it comes to that. But it's still something that as we continue to grow, it's something certainly that we keep our eye firmly focused on the past and on our founders. And there's a great book that we all know, The Founder's Mentality, that shows how when you stay grounded and connected to the past, when you stay humble, what amazing things can be achieved. And we certainly look to the future. So, which is a perfect way to bring this home, Dan. When you look to the future, you see the where the company is coming, and every few years we reset sets of goals and company grows bigger. But what do you think we can achieve in the next 5 or 10 years? And where do you hope for us to go as an organization?
I would start by saying, quite frankly, kind of doing more of the same, but maybe we have a chance to even do it better. In a couple of areas that I thought about where I think Convergint can excel or even continue to excel in. And the one is the continued evolution and development of the Convergint culture. We've talked a lot about it today, but I think it is the thing that, as Greg said, it's made us very successful as an organization. People have challenged us, for many years on how we would keep that culture going as we continue to grow, particularly across the globe, right? The key has been, from my perspective, is the quality of the leadership. That it really continues to expand and grow stronger at Convergint, as well as the quality of our colleagues, and many of which have joined us specifically for the culture. It's really fun talking to people and trying to understand why they joined the organization, and so many would tell us that it's because of the culture. So we are truly blessed with the best colleagues in the industry, and I hope and I expect that will continue. We also have a tremendous opportunity today to develop a more inclusive and diverse Convergent, and I'm confident that will further accelerate the growth of Convergent as well. The second area that I would hope and expect will continue to do is to grow across the globe, and for many years into the future. And not only does that allow us to better service our customer, but it does provide opportunities for our colleagues so that they can grow and they can prosper in their careers as well. And then probably the last one that I've given some thought to is on the innovation side. Can Convergent continue to innovate? And you think about this, when we started Convergent back in 2001, we were really installing cameras, detectors, and a variety of different controllers. Today, we're solving complex business challenges. We're using advanced solutions. We're using artificial intelligence. We're using cybersecurity. In this area or in this era, let's say, of disruptive technologies, think about it, like self-driving cars. We got rockets that are going to the moon and even Mars. You got virtual and augmented reality. I can really barely imagine, what solutions Convergent will be providing 5 years from now. But I'm certain of one thing, is that we will be leading the pack in whatever those solutions are going to be.
Hopefully it's, the future is as bright as past has been, and I think it is, and I'm very confident in that. But we got a lot of work in front of us, and but such opportunity. And my final thoughts are to our customers. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to be your service provider, and we look for the opportunity to continue to work with you around the world, and as you grow, and hopefully we can continue to be part of that. And ultimately, to our colleagues who every day go out and make it happen, thanks to them. Everyone, please be well, enjoy the holidays, and look forward to speaking to you in the future.